And today on the bench we have a Royce 609. This is a AM only 40. Turn that down there a little bit. Royce 609. It's a 40 channel AM only mobile radio. They use the same case as some other radios. You may notice there's a big hole here. Some of the other radios use the same mounting and the same cabinets. Just lower models or less optioned radios had less circuitry to them. And this one is kind of a bare bones, yet not bare bones. I say it's kind of bare bones because it was kind of bare bones on options. Obvious, parts missing. But it wasn't bare bones because it's a Royce. And Royce didn't bare bones anything. And this radio is really no exception. They were ahead of their time sometimes on things, for better or worse. A lot of the Royce radios can be a nightmare to work on. This is not one of them, because it does not have a sardine can in it. And no, I'm not talking about fish, it's just what they're known as. But a lot of the Royce radios have what's known as a sardine can PLL. So the PLL chip's on a separate circuit board in its own little box that mounts standing up on the circuit board. Of course, there's never a schematic for that PLL module, so you kind of have to reverse engineer them to work on them. But this radio does not have that. But it's very minimalist in how many parts that it has, and part of that's because of this IC right here. So if you look inside, you can see there's not really a lot here. I mean, it is an AM only radio, so you wouldn't expect to see a enormous amount of parts. But there's really not a huge amount of parts if you think about it. I mean, compare this to other AM only radios. They did a lot with this. This was, I'm pretty sure this was a custom chip for them. But they did a lot with this that removed the need for a lot of other components. And that's one of the advantages of integrated circuits is you can shrink down how many, big parts that you need if you can cram them all into an IC. So, actually, if I show you here on the schematic, let me just unhook the antenna here. Just turn the radio off. Yes, I still have to clean it up. It's actually in, customer sent this in a, what the heck was the other one? The Cobra 32 XLR in to get redone. You see that white stuff comes off. That's actually styrofoam from the original packing. Actually, both the radios came in the original boxes, but I still have to clean this one up. But, so I mean, you can take a look at the schematic. Here's the factory schematic for it, and you can see, yeah, it's pretty basic. Not a lot of parts. But one thing that sticks out, this crease flattened out a little bit, one thing that really sticks out, that makes these good receivers especially, and of course glossy paper, it's going to glare. You may notice something up here that this thing has that a lot of other radios don't have. 3 filters. Now there's some oddball frequencies, all with the exception of one. The 455 filter, it's actually a 455 HT filter, that's actually very common in a boatload of radios. That's right there. That's a common filter. Everybody's used to seeing those little black boxes. Actually, you're probably familiar with seeing this type filter too. This is a little small one. In most CB radios, that'll be a 10.7 megahertz filter. What's different about this radio is it not only has that and that, it's not 10.7, it's got another one. There's a third one up here, right here. It actually has 2 of those ceramic ones, like that. And like I say, oddball frequencies. Now the 455, that's a standard frequency. You can see here, we have a 9.8 megahertz filter. But if you also look here, there's a 10.240. Now it shows a crystal, it looks like a crystal, actually the 10.240 crystal. Why am I looking through the viewfinder on the camera? It makes it harder to see stuff. Right, yeah, there. There's the actual oscillator crystal, the 10.240 crystal. That's not actually a crystal like that. That is another filter. It's basically just like that, but at another oddball frequency. That's another filter frequency you don't really see much. Like I say, Royce did their own thing. There's a lot of parts really unique to Royce's, But yeah, so it's got 3 stages of filtering: 10240, there's a 455, and a 9.8. You know, they had some other oddball parts that they use in these things, like you'll find thermistors. They were popular, famous for using thermistors in a lot of their radios. Other than that, other components are fairly, off the shelf, with the exception of that IC right there. But nice radios, so like I say, as far as working on them, they're fairly simple because there's not a lot of stuff. They have good receivers, fairly clean. They're good for blocking out a lot of, unwanted gunk out of your received signal. But, a lot easier to work on than a lot of the other radios that had the PLL cans, because, oh boy, they can be an absolute pain in the butt to work on. Like I say, you have to basically reverse engineer those PLL cans, because even the SAMS manuals, when you look at a schematic like this for anything Royce, now I'm just going to use this as an example, but that's what it would look like. The entire PLL circuit in one of those radios, there'll just be a box with a bunch of pin numbers, and it will say something like PLL can, and that's it, or sardine can, but that's it. It's just a box, and there's no description of what's inside of it. So you're kind of left when you're troubleshooting one of those, to figure it out yourself. But so like I say, that's a lot simpler and easy. But easy. The customer sent this in. Actually, what was the note with this one? Pull out the paper here. 609. It was given to me in its current condition. I hooked it up, turned it on, but it makes a loud, constant tone. Fix it so it works as designed. Yep, that's pretty much it. So yeah, had a loud squeal again, just like the other radio that he sent, the Cobra 32 XLR. Didn't even turn it on. Took the covers off, recapped it first. I don't even bother turning on radios like this. There's no use. Old caps. I could spend an hour or more troubleshooting all kinds of problems in a radio just to find out it's a part that I'm going to replace anyhow. So that's honestly, old CB radios, that's the best place to start. If you have no electronics troubleshooting experience at all, that's actually something you can do. Just change the caps. And this is a fairly easy radio to do. Doesn't have, because minimalist, design, doesn't have a lot of supporting components, because a lot of stuff's done with ICs. Not a lot of electrolytic caps. But that's all I did. I replaced the electrolytic caps, did clean the controls, because oh my god, were they ever nasty. But, and actually I still need to clean the radio. Yeah, the mic cord's nasty and brown, and I need to take the microphone apart, clean the PTT switch, and this also has a built-in volume control. So it has 2 volume controls. There's the one on the radio, you set that, but there's a second one right here on the microphone, which is kind of handy. That way you don't need to take your eyes off the road to look at the radio to find a volume. As long as you can get your hand on the mic, the volume's right here. But, yep, so, change caps. You'd be surprised how many radios you can, pick up fairly cheap, non-working, with weird problems. Noises coming out of the speaker, squealing noises. Completely dead, no receive, no transmit. Just all kinds of weird problems. A lot of times it's caps. Nothing more than electrolytic capacitors. So I've just gotten to the point where the majority of the time, if I take the covers off, it doesn't look like the radio's ever been worked on, which this one did not. I don't see a bunch of bodged soldering and, modifications and whatnot. I'll just recap it. That's, like I say, it saves so much time. And both of the radios that this customer sent in, that was all it needed. No diagnostics. So, from a customer's standpoint, if you're paying somebody to do it, it was a lot cheaper for me to repair this by doing it that way, because there was no diagnostics time. I didn't waste a bunch of time finding that it was just bad capacitors that I was going to replace anyhow. So the only thing he had to pay for was the cap job and an alignment, and that's it. And, cleaning the controls, and I'll clean the radio up, but other than that, that's all it needed. So, on your end, like I say, if you have something like this and you feel confident you can do minimal repair, which is just, desoldering and putting parts, basically pulling a part out and putting a new one back in. If you think you can change electrolytic capacitors in a radio yourself, have at it. You might fix the radio. Now, granted, you won't have the equipment probably, to do an alignment on a radio, but if you do something like that and you get your radio working, well, now you know it's a keeper. Then you can send it off, have your local tech, or send it to somebody, and actually have a proper transceiver alignment done to it, but you're going to save yourself a lot of money. So there's just a tip on radios with weird problems, and I just wanted to show this because you don't see a lot of these radios. Royce, it had a following. I don't want to say it was like a cult following, but there were people that loved Royces, and then there's a lot of people that hate Royces. And it's not that they hate them because they don't work well. They do. They're a good radio. The problem is when they break, especially those radios that had those sardine can PLL units. A lot of techs cannot stand working on those things because of that. I work on them. I'll work on anything. I very frequently tell people. But so there you go. I just thought I'd give a quick show of this radio. Like I say, it's not like it's a monster full-featured radio. It does have, I guess, some options. It does have the built-in SWR. It does have noise limiter, built-in PA, full control complement, Delta tune. Which honestly, AM only radios, I'll never figure out why they put a tune control on them with a PLL synthesized radio. That was just a leftover from the old crystal synthesized vacuum tube days, but it's there. They needed to stick something there to fill in the hole, so we'll stick a fine tune control there. Back panel, again, not a excessive amount of stuff. You can see the manufacture date on this one is July 1978. And the power cords on these, if you ever lose them, they use an oddball power connector. So you can see this is the original power cord. But in any case, nice little radio. So let me get the covers put back on this one. Actually, I need to reseal some of the cores back in here with wax first. I get the covers put on it, get her cleaned up, and take the microphone apart, clean the control in that and the switch, and get this boxed up and get those two radios back to this customer. Like I say, just wanted to give a quick show on the inside in case nobody's ever seen the insides of a Royce 609.